I'm so excited to introduce our next speaker. She's an entrepreneur. She's been on the Forbes Women to Follow list. She's a TEDx speaker, an Inc. 30 Under 30, and also a model for Neutrogena and Target. So welcome, Misa Chien.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Sandy, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here in San Antonio. So the talk today is really about imposter syndrome. And it's about how to embrace it, how to identify it, how to not necessarily overcome it, but address it. And I'm going to use my own story on imposter syndrome to help you guys hopefully address this and learn more about it. So, a little over 10 years ago, before I was in the contact center space, I started a food truck. I put over $100,000 of my modeling savings into starting a food truck called Nom Nom Truck. And to many, it looks like a success. I mean, look at this line. And we were making millions of dollars. It looked like we're crushing it. But deep down, I felt like an imposter. I had imposter syndrome. So before I continue with this story, I'd like to ask you guys, what is imposter syndrome? Does anyone know? I would like to see a raise of hands who knows what imposter syndrome is. Anyone here? Great. Anyone want to share what their definition is? No pressure if not. Okay, well, the dictionary definition is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. And so rewinding back to my story of imposter syndrome, it's 2009. I'm just graduating from UCLA, and I know that I want to dive head first into entrepreneurship. And a couple of my friends from the Half Asian Club say, hey, we're starting a food truck, want to join? And I'm like, yeah, sure. It's the financial crisis, not a lot of opportunity, let's do it. So I dive head first into the food truck industry, and little did I realize we got so much perceived success right away. After putting all that money into it, suddenly we got on Inc. 30 Under 30 Entrepreneurs, Bloomberg Business, New York Times, Forbes Women to Watch, every possible publication within a year of us coming out and starting our Twitter and saying where our food truck was. Suddenly we got tons of press and we didn't even have a publicist. And within 2 years, we got on something called the Great Food Truck Race on the Food Network, 30 million viewers. You can watch you can watch me embarrass myself in front of 30 million people on Apple TV or Amazon, season 1, Great Food Truck Race. You can see me embarrass myself not knowing how to do a 3-course meal with Pioneer cooking tools in Tennessee. And so it was this amazing adventure where on the outside, people were like, wow, you are crushing it. But on the inside, I felt like an imposter. I felt like an imposter because that $100,000 that I put into the business, we're not only getting $0 back, we are in the negative every single month. In the food industry, a good profit margin is 5%. But with a food truck, there's even more things that can go wrong. And so, in the end, after many years of running it, me and my business partner actually have a falling out. And so after experiencing this imposter syndrome on top of that, the business fails 4 years in. And overnight, just like that, I lose my identity. I have trouble getting up every morning. I don't know if I'm gonna have a career. I really have trouble moving forward. And that failure was such a difficult time. And it was only with the genuine relationships that I built around me that I was able to keep moving forward through this really dark time. My close friends and family, my husband, my colleagues. This is Allison, who's actually here today. Well, she'll be in the fireside chat with me later. So I really want to emphasize, in life, most of us will probably all have these failures, so it's about these support systems like CC Women that can help us through these really tough times. And it was during this tough time that my husband was like, you know, you have such great entrepreneurial experience. Why don't you go back into entrepreneurship? Let's build a piece of software together. Let's do something. And so I thought about my experience and I thought, you know, I'm really passionate about people. I'm passionate about helping people. And so with Nom Nom Truck, I was always a frontline employee. I was always the manager of the truck. And as a frontline employee, if any of you have been a frontline employee before, you never get positive feedback about yourself. You're only seeing the negativity, the negative reviews. As a manager, which many of you here are today, you're only seeing the fires you need to put out. And so I wanted to build a piece of software that would deliver positive feedback to the front line, and that's what I did. We built autopilot reviews, which we have today, and ended up being a great fit for the contact center space and delivering positive feedback to the front line. So I started building my confidence a little bit more, trying to address this imposter syndrome that I experienced. And in the process, as you grow your career more, you get opportunities. So I applied for this entrepreneurial retreat. Every single entrepreneur there had raised tens of millions of dollars. And their companies are all valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm like, man, I shouldn't even belong at this entrepreneurial retreat. Again, imposter syndrome hits. But my husband's like, man, you gotta still attend, you got in. So he forces me to go. And I attend, and what I realize is that when everyone is vulnerable in this room together, of all these entrepreneurs who look like they're crushing it, I mean, these people are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, and I'm just this small little startup. And I realized they all have imposter syndrome too. They're all feeling the same feelings I'm feeling, even when they are so insanely successful. And that's when I realized that so many people can have imposter syndrome. This is not something that is not common. This is actually very common, especially as we grow our careers. And so that was really an aha moment. And so we can all feel like imposters at one time or another. And it's okay. And to really overcome this, I soon realized that no one can be crushing it all the time. Next time you see that perfect Instagram post with that perfect photo, perfect moment, just realize that person cannot be perfect all the time. We're not robots. We are people. And so to really overcome imposter syndrome, that's one thing that I did. And it's only through the genuine relationships that we build that we're able to really start talking about this subject. And so what I ask of you here today is to cut the small talk with people here and start talking about this or something else, some kind of other vulnerable topic to help each other and really utilize this conference to connect. And that's where originally my talk ended. But of course the story continues, and a couple years after that entrepreneurial retreat, as you grow your career more, as you know, the ceiling keeps being raised, the benchmark's raised, and I get into a program called Personal Leadership Development at Harvard Business School. And to just give some background, I'm dyslexic, and so I thought I'd never, ever in a million years be able to attend Harvard Business School. And so when I got accepted into this program in Harvard Business School, I'm like, man, did they make a mistake? I had to reread the acceptance letter a couple times, and sure enough, because of my experience, I did get in. I decided to still attend even though having severe imposter syndrome, and one thing I decided to do, I decided during lunch hour at this Harvard Business School program, you can actually teach a course. So I decided, okay, I'm going to teach a course to classmates who are interested in learning about imposter syndrome. And that's a really interesting, it was a really interesting process because people asked, does it ever go away? And for me personally, my answer is no, it doesn't. As you continue to try to raise that bar, raise that benchmark you have for yourself, continue to push yourself in your career, you're probably going to keep feeling it. And so now I look at it as imposter syndrome as a way like that I'm on the right track. Okay, I'm growing my career, I'm going to keep feeling more and more uncomfortable, and it's okay. And so going back to the Harvard talk, there's this woman in my class. Her name is Tina. I got her permission to put her photo on here. Tina is a Harvard Business School classmate who every time she walked down the hall, I was like, man, this woman's crushing it, you know, so confident. And when I saw the roster of who was attending the course, she's a very high successful, extremely successful C-level executive. I'm thinking, man, if Tina belongs to this program, I don't belong here. You know, what am I doing here if executives like Tina are attending? But when I end up doing my imposter syndrome talk, Tina's actually in the audience, and this is an optional talk. And majority, I hate to say it, but the majority of the audience was female. And so after the talk, Tina goes up to me, and she says, Misa, I am so glad you did this talk. I almost did not attend Harvard Business School because of imposter syndrome. I didn't think I belonged in this program. And I almost teared up because she is the last person I would have thought who would have been feeling this feeling. So sometimes the people who deserve the praise the most, who deserve the recognition the most, have this feeling the most, and it can almost prevent them from receiving recognition and accolades. And so that's something really important to remember, and this was such an aha moment. So after diving more into this talk, and I want to thank Sandy for this because she asked me to dive even more into learning about imposter syndrome. These are some of the different ways that you could have imposter syndrome. Superhero, overworking to make up for your inadequacy that you feel. Natural genius, set huge goals and you can never achieve them. Expert, you're never satisfied with your level of knowledge and you're always yearning to learn more. Perfectionist, you're never completely happy with your work, it's never perfect, you only focus on your flaws. Soloist, preferring to work alone, and fear of asking for help because you don't want to seem weak or incompetent. So I want to just use the next 5 minutes. And remember what I asked of you all here today. Let's cut the small talk and get into groups of 2 or 3 people. Quick breakout exercise. One of you talk about when you may have felt this feeling. I'm just going to do a 5-minute timer.
wrapping up shortly in 1 minute.
Okay, time is up. Time is up. So, is anyone interested in sharing their story at all? No worries if not, but anyone have an imposter story they want to share? Imposter syndrome? Okay. It's okay. Well, there are just a couple ways to also address this. Like I said, it might not go away for you as you continue to grow your career, but it's good to first just identify it, know the signs. With this exercise, hopefully you've seen that you're not alone, that other people have experienced this. Know that you need to be kind to yourself, forgive yourself. You know, this is a normal reaction to growing your career. Let go of being perfect. No one can be crushing it all the time. For me, I've embraced it. I welcome the feeling. If I have the feeling, it means I'm on the right track in growing my career and pushing myself. Please, 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 if you have it, don't make that, don't say, oh, I shouldn't attend, to the opportunity. Say yes to the opportunities, even if you have imposter syndrome. And look for a mentor as well, or build a support system around it. There are actually so many other ways you can work on imposter syndrome. We passed out a pamphlet you can put on your fridge. So it has many tips you can do on a regular basis to address this. And one last story, one person who does experience imposter syndrome as well, who you would never expect, Beyonce. So to Oprah, she told Oprah many years ago, she doesn't feel like herself on stage. She has imposter syndrome when performing. So believe it or not, she created a persona called Sasha Fierce. So Sasha Fierce is performing on stage, not Beyonce. And so say if you have really a lot of trouble public speaking, doing presentations, going to networking events, feel free to follow Beyonce's lead and come up with a persona. There's so many different ways to address this imposter syndrome. So thank you so much for today. I'm going to leave it for Q&A. You can also scan this QR code to give me feedback on this talk. I've done a TEDx talk on this. I spoke on Harvard Business School about this. So I always want to keep improving it for each audience that I give the talk for. So you can just get in this QR code or the QR code on the back of the pamphlet to review me and let me know what you think. Thanks so much, and I'll open up for questions for 5 minutes. Any questions? Yeah.
So you did go to those things, right? Like you got to Harvard and just felt like such an imposter. Why am I in this course? But what do you think got you to sign up for the course if the feelings were so inadequate? I think support system is what's important there. Sharing your dreams with others. My husband has always been an amazing supporter. He's also the co-founder of the software company that we built together. And so he said, hey, you've always wanted to attend Harvard Business School. And why don't you just apply? It doesn't hurt to apply. Same with the entrepreneurial retreat. So all these opportunities came up where I could apply, and he's always been kind of pushing me. So it's really important to have that other person in your career or in your personal life that will help support you, especially if you share these feelings with them that you have.
Can you name a recent time where you felt imposter syndrome?
You know the answer to this. We're going to be talking about this shortly. So I'm actually earning my I'm earning my alumni degree at Harvard Business School right now. And with Harvard Business School, there's different programs you can take. And the most recent program I took back in June was insanely intimidating. It's a program for celebrities, and it's people who want to transition and build their personal brand around their celebrity brand. So, like, since I'm a model, I got in technically, but I really was so dreading attending because it was so nerve-wracking, you know. Tiffany Haddish is in our class, billionaires were in our class. Dirk Nowitzki from the Dallas NBA was there. So many big athletes from the World Cup. I was just like, what am I doing here? And that was probably the worst imposter syndrome I've ever experienced in my life. It was so uncomfortable. But the great thing about that is that after attending that, I don't get imposter syndrome as much, because once you push yourself to that extent of imposter syndrome, then I get it a lot less frequently now. So just keep pushing yourself. It hopefully will get better. Any other questions? Great, thank you.